other coaches or players that mentored you through college, pro?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys in Vancouver when I first um, signed there were great. The Sedins, Manuel Holcher was another guy I really respected. Just again, he's one of those guys that filled a role. Like he was a face-off guy, right? And yeah, he could play too, um, but he enjoyed a long career because he could, win face-offs. And I think like Hank and Danny, they were just such humble guys, and for the amount of skill that they had, just the way they carried themselves, I really respected. And so I think players that would probably be, um, at the top of the list. Coaches, I mean, Mike Vandekamp always sticks out to me. I know you know or know of him, maybe you know him, but yeah, I just love the way, he coached. It was just, he asked a lot from you and demanded a lot, and it was hard sometimes, and he didn't make it easy, but at the same time he did it because he cared about you, and he cared about winning mostly. And you know once you get on board, and when the team gets on board, I mean, we had some successful years. So um and again, Vandy, he appreciated that role, and he liked the hard nosed style, right? So not only did we play a decent amount, but we were a big piece, part of that team. So yeah, I would say those are probably people that come to mind.
Yeah, those are some big names, obviously, there. And any other stories you'd like to share?
I mean, the only funny story that came to mind is I can't remember what we were talking about, but um, might have been with the role, or no, I think it was managing your time if you're sitting on the bench for a while, which I did a bit of that throughout my career. But I remember when I first went to Washington, the coach, who was Adam Oates at the time, he put me on a line with Backstrom and Ovi for the start of the game, and I was like, okay, this is my chance. Like, get just get an assist or something, and then maybe I could stay on there for like 5 games. And I mean, I think that lasted 2 shifts, and then I was back, boom, on the fourth line. So I mean, the team wasn't doing great at that time when I first got there, so he was trying to mix it up, and I think I must have dumped it in my first shift, and these guys are probably like, okay, no, get him off. So I mean, yeah, there's tons of stories, but that one comes to mind. It was pretty funny.
Maybe can you share maybe about your training camp, your first NHL training camp after you signed, kind of thing like that? And some of these players, obviously, that's probably one of the biggest challenges is mentally too, right? They're going into these new teams. Maybe they don't know as many guys, have to adapt to different personalities and just a different team. Like how that went with the training camp.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's tough. Like that first pro training camp was, you try not to be like starstruck, right? With like these guys that I've watched, on TV, and the fact that I never even thought I would be in that position. So for me, I had to like really bring it back to like, no, you're here for a reason. You belong. And once I got going, calm the nerves down. Same thing as like the first, NHL game. You're a bit nervous before, but when you settle right in, and you start getting some touches on the puck, so it's all good. But I remember for me, for that first training camp, and which again I would recommend, is you gotta you have to get noticed in some way, right? So for me, that was part of my role. So again, like, I think, keep the friends aside, and just play hard, right? Because you're not there to make friends necessarily, right? And people think, well, I don't want to ruffle feathers, and even going into junior camps. But I mean, that's how I made the lineup in Brown when I got there, because again, you go up that level, and at college, there's 28, 30 guys on the team. And I remember getting there thinking, like, how am I going to crack this lineup? And I just basically started running everyone until like, the pot was stirred, and the coach pulled me into his office and was like, "What are you doing, man? You're hurting all our good players." And I was like, "I don't know who anyone is. I'm just trying to make the team." And I remember he told me, he's like, "You'll be on the opening night roster. Don't worry, just calm down a bit." So again, like, I'm not saying you need to go start running everyone, but that's what I did and it worked. And so I think just, going into training camps with some confidence, and you don't want to be cocky, but if you got a bit of swagger and a little bit of attitude, then again, you need to get noticed, right? There's so much parity in the game now. It's like, do something that's going to get you noticed. And that doesn't mean you have to be stupid, but maybe you lay a big hit, or maybe, you're just dogging on the puck all night, and, coaches, they notice that. It's like, man, this guy never gives up on the puck. He's always on it, right? So again, it doesn't have to be something totally crazy out of this world, but I think that's good, is just going into a camp and be confident and hold yourself, hold your head high, and have a bit of a swagger, right? You don't want to be cocky, because that's the opposite effect, and people don't want that on the team either, right? So yeah, you got to get noticed. I think that would be my advice.